Imagine waking up every morning, knowing that your job might be the last thing you ever do. For some, this isn't just a possibility, it's a reality. From battling extreme weather in the open seas to scaling skyscrapers with nothing but a rope and a harness, these brave men and women put their lives on the line every day. Today, we're diving into the world of high-risk professions, exploring 10 of the most dangerous jobs on the planet. You might be surprised by what actually makes these jobs so deadly. Welcome to today's video. We're going to explore some of the riskiest professions in the world and find out what makes these jobs so incredibly dangerous, whether it's the unpredictable forces of nature, hazardous equipment, or even human error. These workers face life-threatening situations every single day. So let's get started with our first dangerous job. Our first profession takes us to the open seas, commercial fishing. While it may sound like a peaceful way to spend a day, the reality is far from idyllic. Fishermen routinely face some of the most brutal conditions on the planet, and the stakes are high. With rough seas, freezing temperatures, and heavy, dangerous equipment, it's no wonder that commercial fishing has one of the highest fatality rates in the world. One of the biggest dangers commercial fishermen face is unpredictable weather. A calm sea can turn deadly in a matter of hours, with storms creating waves as high as 40 feet. Combine that with slippery decks and heavy machinery, and you've got a perfect recipe for disaster. You've probably seen shows like Deadliest Catch, where crab fishing in the Bering Sea is portrayed as one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. And trust me, it's not an exaggeration. These crews risk falling overboard and drowning, or worse, getting tangled in their nets and dragged into the depths. It's not just the weather. The equipment itself can be deadly. Heavy nets, winches, and cranes are constantly in motion, and one wrong step can result in catastrophic injury. In fact, the fatality rate for commercial fishermen is over 30 times higher than the national average for most occupations. Next up, we head to the forests, where loggers are among the most high-risk workers in the world. Imagine standing in the middle of the woods, cutting down trees that weigh several tons, all while relying on your own skill and a chainsaw. One wrong move, and you could be crushed in seconds. Logging may seem like a simple job. Cut down trees, take them to the mill, and repeat. But it's anything but. The terrain is often treacherous, and workers have to deal with heavy machinery and unpredictable tree falls. Even with years of experience, a logger can never fully predict how a tree will fall, and that unpredictability is what makes this job so deadly. Logging is particularly dangerous because of the sheer size and weight of the materials workers deal with. A single tree can weigh thousands of pounds, and if it falls in the wrong direction or at the wrong speed, the results can be fatal. On top of that, the remote locations where loggers work mean that if something does go wrong, help is often far away. They're miles from the nearest hospital, and emergency services can take hours to reach them. In an environment like this, every second counts. Now, let's head up to the rooftops, literally. Roofers spend their days working at dangerous heights, often in extreme weather conditions. Whether it's scorching heat or freezing cold, they don't have the luxury of waiting for a better day. They've got a job to do. The biggest danger for roofers is, of course, the risk of falling. Even with safety harnesses and precautions, the risk is always there, especially when working on steep or slippery surfaces. In fact, falls from heights are responsible for over 3/4 of all roofing-related fatalities. Roofers also face extreme weather conditions. Working under the scorching sun can lead to heat exhaustion and dehydration, while winter months bring the risk of frostbite and hypothermia. And let's not forget about wind. One strong gust can be enough to knock a roofer off balance. Despite advances in safety equipment, roofers still face an incredibly high risk of injury or death. Their fatality rate is almost 10 times higher than the average worker. And it's not hard to see why. One mistake, one slip, and it can all be over in the blink of an eye. From the rooftops, we now go deep underground to one of the oldest and most dangerous professions in the world, mining. These workers venture into the Earth's depths to extract valuable materials, often at great personal risk. Mining is dangerous for many reasons. Cave-ins, exposure to toxic gases, and operating heavy machinery in tight spaces are just a few of the hazards. But what makes mining especially deadly is that when something goes wrong underground, it's often catastrophic. One of the most famous mining accidents occurred in 2010, when 33 miners in Chile were trapped underground for 69 days after a cave-in. While all of them were rescued, it was a terrifying reminder of just how dangerous this job can be. From deep underground, we now take to the skies, where small aircraft pilots, often called bush pilots, face their own unique set of dangers. Unlike commercial airline pilots who fly well-established routes, bush pilots are often tasked with flying into remote areas where runways are little more than dirt paths and weather conditions can change in an instant. Bush pilots fly in some of the most extreme and unforgiving environments in the world, from the icy wilderness of Alaska to the dense jungles of South America. One wrong move, and they could find themselves stranded, or worse, in a fatal crash. Unlike larger jets, these small planes are far more vulnerable to sudden weather changes, mechanical failures, and poor visibility. And when something does go wrong, there's often no control tower to guide them to safety. The fatality rate for small aircraft pilots, especially bush pilots, is significantly higher than that of commercial airline pilots. And let's not forget about the isolation. These pilots often fly into areas with no access to emergency services, which means that if they crash, help could be hours or even days away. It's a job that requires incredible skill, quick thinking, and a whole lot of bravery. Next on our list, we have one of the most common yet surprisingly dangerous jobs: construction work. Whether they're building homes or massive skyscrapers, construction workers face a wide range of hazards every single day. The dangers are everywhere on a construction site. Falls from heights, getting struck by falling objects, electrocution, and machinery accidents are just a few of the risks these workers face on a daily basis. In fact, construction work is responsible for 1 in 5 workplace deaths in the US. Falls are the leading cause of death in construction, especially when workers are building at great heights. Even with safety harnesses, one misstep can mean the difference between life and death. And it's not just the heights. Operating heavy machinery is dangerous too. Cranes, bulldozers, and other equipment can cause devastating injuries if something goes wrong. These machines are powerful, and the slightest mistake can have deadly consequences. From electrocution to being crushed by heavy loads, construction workers are constantly surrounded by potential hazards. Despite strict safety regulations, accidents still happen, and when they do, they're often fatal. Now, let's turn our attention to the skies once more, though this time not in planes, but on power lines. Electrical power line installers and repairers work at dizzying heights, often in dangerous weather conditions, to ensure that we all have electricity in our homes. These workers face a double threat: the risk of falling from great heights and the danger of electrocution. Power lines carry thousands of volts of electricity, and one wrong move can be lethal. And it's not just routine maintenance. These workers are often called out during storms and emergencies, when conditions are at their worst. Imagine trying to repair a power line while balancing on a narrow platform, with the wind howling and rain pouring down. It's no easy task, and the risks are enormous. That's why the fatality rate for power line workers is twice the national average for all jobs. Even with all the safety precautions and protective gear, the danger is ever present. And when something goes wrong, the consequences are often fatal. Whether it's a fall from a utility pole or accidental contact with a live wire, power line workers are constantly at risk. Next, we recognize the heroes who run toward danger while everyone else is running away. Firefighters. Whether they're battling house fires, wildfires, or rescuing people from car crashes, firefighters face life-threatening situations every day. The most obvious danger for firefighters is, of course, the fire itself. Burns, smoke inhalation, and collapsing structures are just a few of the immediate risks they face on the job. But there's another, less visible threat: the long-term exposure to toxic chemicals. Over time, firefighters are exposed to a cocktail of harmful chemicals during fires, which significantly increases their risk of developing cancer. In fact, firefighters are 14% more likely to die from cancer than the general population. And it's not just structural fires. Wildland firefighters face additional dangers, from unpredictable wind shifts to dehydration and exhaustion. Fighting fires in forests and grasslands is physically demanding, and these brave men and women often find themselves miles away from help if something goes wrong. Now we dive beneath the surface, literally. Commercial divers work on underwater construction projects, oil rigs, and repairs, often in some of the most dangerous conditions imaginable. Commercial diving is no ordinary job. These workers operate in extreme environments where equipment failure, decompression sickness, and drowning are constant threats. The deeper they go, the more dangerous it becomes. One of the most common dangers commercial divers face is decompression sickness, or the bends, which occurs when they ascend too quickly. This can cause intense pain, paralysis, or even death if not treated in time. And then there's nitrogen narcosis, a condition that can impair a diver's judgment and reaction time, making an already dangerous job even riskier. Our final dangerous profession is one that requires nerves of steel: bomb disposal technicians. These highly trained specialists are responsible for disarming explosive devices, often in high-pressure situations where the slightest mistake could be deadly. Whether it's clearing landmines in war zones or defusing homemade explosives in urban areas, bomb disposal technicians are constantly putting their lives on the line to protect others. And while technology like robots helps reduce the risk, there are still many situations where human hands are needed to get the job done. One of the most dangerous aspects of this job is the unpredictability of the devices they're dealing with. Improvised explosive devices, IEDs, can be triggered by anything from a cell phone signal to a pressure plate, and sometimes the only way to disarm them is by hand. Despite the best training and the most advanced equipment, bomb disposal remains one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Every bomb technician knows that each call could be their last, but they do it anyway, driven by a sense of duty and a desire to save lives. So there you have it, 10 of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Whether it's braving the high seas, working at dizzying heights, or disarming explosive devices, these men and women face life-threatening risks every single day. Their work is often unseen, but it's vital to keeping our world running safely and smoothly. Without the bravery and dedication of these workers, many of the things we take for granted, like electricity, construction, and even our own safety, wouldn't be possible. So the next time you see a construction worker, a firefighter, or even a commercial fisherman, take a moment to appreciate the dangers they face and the sacrifices they make. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And let us know in the comments, what other dangerous jobs do you think deserve a spot on this list? Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next video.